Welcome to the Knowles Development Podcast, and today we're going to talk about leadership, and was reminded about a great example in leadership, which is leadership is not a light switch. It is not an on-off thing. It's something that once you choose to step onto that moving bus of leadership, it's on. It should always be on. Now, that might be for some of you the hesitation from stepping onto the leadership bus is, dang it, once I sign up for that gig, I got to do it all the time. Yeah, you do. So how do we keep from having leadership be an on-off thing? And what does that mean in terms of our life and how we need to show up in everything that we do? So let's talk about it. First off, if you're a leader in work or in your community or what have you, you need to show up as a leader everywhere. So if you're a leader in business, which is how most of us meet, or probably how you got to this podcast, I'm going to challenge you to show up as a leader in your home. I'm going to challenge you to show up as a leader in your community. I'm going to challenge you to show up as a leader in whatever faith organization you're involved in. Leadership matters, and the world is in desperate need of more of it. So if you're willing to do it in one area of your life, I'm going to challenge you to do it everywhere. So that's number one. It's an always on, and we want to do it everywhere. But here's where the real meat of this is. What the heck does it mean to show up as a leader? Like, Brad, what do I do to show up as a leader all the time? Number one, take responsibility. You never get to be Mr. or Mrs. Teflon ever again. It's your responsibility. All of it. Even if you're only modestly involved, take ownership. Take extreme ownership. Great book if you haven't read it. Take real extreme ownership of whatever it is that you are involved in. Leaders take responsibility. They own it. And you need to do that in all areas of your life. Step up without being asked. That's number two. Right? Leaders don't wait to be asked to do stuff. They see a need and they start doing. They see a need, they organize people together and start doing. And sometimes the person you're going to organize to get together and do that thing is just you and you. That's it. But leaders don't wait. They don't wait for it to show up on their job description. They don't wait for, the pastor of the church to come and ask. They see a need and they move. They get into motion quickly. So if you're going to show up as a leader, you got to take action before people are asking for it. Observe and do. That's what leaders are doing here. Number three, always show up authentically. And for some of us, that's a real challenge. I know that in all of our years of coaching and training, there's a good chunk of society that puts on a pretty big mask the day and the moment they walk out of their house. Some of you might even be in an environment at home where you're putting on a mask before you even get out of bed. I'm going to challenge you to leave the mask behind. Leaders, in their best form, show up authentically. They are who they are, warts included. And they know their warts better than anybody else, and they're not ashamed of them, and they don't hide them because they know that's part of who they are. An authentic leader is somebody who allows those around them to then also show up authentically. If you show up with some sort of weird frickin' veneer, then you're projecting onto everybody else around you in the organization or the community or the town hall council, whatever it is, you're telling them, hey, it's better to look good and be right than be authentic and be real. Leaders need to show up in an authentic way. So for some of you, that might be a lot more work than others. So I'll ask you, where are you showing up in your most authentic way? What is it about that environment? What is it about that group of people? Or maybe that one person that draws that out of you, where you are the most, real version of you that there is. So I want you to figure that out and let's start moving in that trajectory. The other thing to watch for is as you make progress there, guard yourself against the backtrack. Guard yourself against that comfortable mask and putting it back on. Leadership is an authentic game. Let's get comfortable in our own skin. Leaders, number 4, do the best they can. Now, that doesn't mean that leaders don't fail. That doesn't mean that there aren't people who can do a lot of stuff better than you. But what it does mean is no matter what you put yourself to doing, you will do the very best that you can at that time. You don't frickin' phone it in. You don't kind of go for the whatever layup. You do the best you can do. Always. And again, it takes a mountain of energy to do that in all areas of life. That's the challenge. That's the gauntlet I'm throwing down for you when we say leadership is an always-on game. You don't get to show up great at work and then crappy on that little committee that you're on in the school system. You got to show up just as big and just as committed there as everywhere you are showing up at work. Are you doing the best you can at everything you're doing? Where are those areas in your life where you know you're just phoning it in? You know you're giving it 50%, not 100%. My challenge to you would be this. Either figure out how to frickin' get to 100% or stop doing it. The middle ground stuff is a dangerous place to live. Figure out how to do it and do it for real, or stop. Just stop doing it. Leaders, number 5, lift others up. Leaders aren't interested in being on the front cover. They're not, I promise you. Leaders are interested in watching their people, their team, the organization, the goal, whatever it might be. They're interested in that succeeding. They're interested in those succeeding. That's what they want to do. They want to empower others to get to where they can go. Are you trying to be the king of the pile? Are you looking for the recognition? Or are you pulling up and lifting up those around you? If you're a small business owner, right now, I want you to pause this video and I want you to look at your organizational chart. And if it's you on top, I want you to rewrite it right now. Flip it over. You should be on the bottom. You are there to support your leadership team. Your leadership team is there to most likely support your staff. The staff is there to support and deliver for the customer. You're on the bottom, not the top. Leaders lift. Number 6, leaders always show up seeing other people's potential. That, again, probably a different subset of you. For some of you, that might be real challenging. Especially if there are people around you who've really shown up short, come up short, lied to you, right? It's still your job to see them for what you know is inside them, not how they showed up yesterday. See them for everything they can be, not for perhaps who they're stuck in now. Don't see them for their mask, see them for their authentic self. You know there's gifts in there. I have never met a person. I've never met a single person that I didn't say, that person's got gifts. Your children have that. Your coworkers have that. The people at your synagogue have that. Adjust your filter, the filter in which you see the world, to viewing them for their potential, the best version of them. Here's the dirty secret. They will grow into it if that's how you treat them. They will grow into it if that's how you see them. If you see them for where they're stuck, if you treat them for where they're at, they will stay there. Leaders are lifting people up. They're doing it by seeing them for more than they are today. How are you seeing the people around you? How do you need to alter your view of them? Because it will change their life. And that's how leaders show up. Last one for you. And this is a basic. Leaders put others first. There's all sorts of great books on this. One of my favorites is Leaders Eat Last. It's a great, just simple example of, hey, if you're the leader of a group, you're last in line. Your people eat first. Your people take break first. If that means you got to cross your legs because your people use the bathroom first, then that's what it is. Your people come first. You can wait. And you can do that in all areas of your life. And it's a always thing. I was invited to a Christmas party. This is about a year or so ago. And we didn't know what we were going to because it wasn't being held at our friend's house. They had invited us to a party that somebody else was hosting. So we go to this party really not expecting anything, and come to find out this is the biggest, nicest Christmas party I've ever been to. Must have been somewhere between 75 and 100 people. Beautiful food, multiple turkeys, multiple hams, beautiful place settings for everybody in a wonderful mansion, and had an opportunity to meet the host. And we had a great conversation with the host. We only talked for maybe 3 or 4 minutes because there were lots of people coming and they wanted to connect with everybody. Come to find out, we're eating dinner 3 rooms over in the west wing of the home, kind of a thing. But everyone got together prior to the meal for prayer. And something that they had done in the beginning when they started hosting this gathering every Christmas year was assigning someone to go first, because they found that no one ever wanted to go first. Everybody wanted everybody else to go first. So it was a great culture there. And what ended up happening was the host asked me to go first. It was so hard to sit there with 80 freaking people and have to run and get my plate and eat before all of them. There were people that were old enough there to be my grandmother. There were people old enough there to be my youngest child. And I was going first. And it was a challenge. I hope you putting other people first becomes so habitual that you get that discomfort in that moment. I hope that happens. Put others first. It's awesome. It's awesome to watch it, and it will help fill your cup. You will be filled from it, and it will make all of these things that we just talked about easier to do because you're watching others being lifted up. Last little nugget. When you commit to being a leader and having that be an always on thing, I want you to know that it also means you're not always going to be in charge. Just because you show up as a leader doesn't mean you're the boss. So I want you to understand that, and understand that great leaders, when they're not in charge, are great workers. They are doers. They get into action quickly, whether it be in a boardroom or the end of a broom. They're going to get after it and get after it quickly. So no matter where you are in an organization that you're involved in, show up as a leader today. Thanks so much. We've really enjoyed having you on the Knowles Development Podcast. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.